before I start sharing my screen and before we get into everything, I want to share two things. Number one, I slightly shifted the title just because I felt like the messaging needed to be better. So it's how to present like a pro, because we're all pros here in whatever industry we're working in. I know this is for Sexual Health Alliance, so a lot of you in here are sex educators, sex coaches, sex therapists, but there's also people from my community that aren't necessarily in the sex space. And I think presenting in general is just such a very important skill that not a lot of us are taught, depending on what we're studying in our own personal journeys. Through this presentation, I have organized things um, within sort of like a back to basics on what communication is, how to build your presentation. And then we're also going to deconstruct my presentation for Wild on your pleasure path and what made that an engaging presentation. I really like to run the show and make sure that everyone is engaged throughout. So if you ever have a question, comments, concerns, please feel free to use the chat box. I like to check this very frequently. And sometimes I'll even ask you to come off of video if there's something in depth that you have a question on or want to just share something. I'm super into that. I would rather have questions come up as they come up instead of just waiting to the end, because sometimes it won't resonate at that point. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions before we get started?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say a huge thank you again for joining us, Catherine. I think this means so much, both to me and to the Shaw team. I'm so excited to hear about this. Again, we talked yesterday, but your Wild presentation was amazing. You had such amazing feedback in regards to your presentation, your visual, your presence. I love hearing you talk about this being a soft skill that kind of everybody has within them and stuff. So I really appreciate this. And thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. I'm so glad it worked out. All right. Let's get to it. Okay, can you all see my screen?
We sure can.
Perfect. Let me just make sure I have the chat box open as well. Sorry, the settings change every single time. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so welcome to Present Like a Pro. Let's hop into it. One thing I like to use first before we get into it, I really like Canva. It's very user friendly. It makes it easier to create graphics in a way that are visually appealing, and you can present directly within it. You can share a link as well. Makes it so much easier when giving presentations and master classes. So about me, alignment's a little off. That's okay. So this here was my bio that I included in my Wild presentation. I'm a life coach and sex educator. I work with my psychic abilities to help women experience more pleasure in their life. I'm certified in NLP, EFT, hypnosis, time techniques. And basically all I'm focusing on right now is how to live a life of pleasure and help other people experience more pleasure, specifically women. That's my focus right now. So with that being said, what has been left out from this bio, which I really want to hammer home, is that many of you probably don't know, I majored in communications in undergrad. So this literally is my background. I love communications. I started my career in entertainment. I did digital publicity for film. So those of you who don't know, publicity is public relations. It's relationships with people, building relationships in order to sort of grow your brand, specifically doing that in entertainment. Then I went back to school for digital marketing when I thought I wanted to get an MBA. A lot of that was on social media and mediated communications, because now we are living in such a digital world, and having this background sort of set me up for success, especially when everything in this pandemic forced us to go online. This is already something that I've been doing for years. I also, while I was in that course, decided, oh, I don't want to do this. I want to become a life coach. I did over a year of training to become a certified life coach, including studying neurolinguistic programming, which, for those of you who don't know, similar to hypnosis, and it's the language of the mind. It's how to understand the subconscious mind so that we can speak to your subconscious to create change. This also helps in marketing as well, so that you know which patterns of communications to use in order to sway your audience to a certain way. NLP is used in a lot of like political campaigns, if you don't know that already. So that's why their slogans and whatnot, messaging is exactly how it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to evoke a certain type of response to get you to be active and wanting to sort of believe in their mission, believe in their cause. I'm also a Gemini. So most of you, if you know astrology, you know that's the sign of the twins, but this also is the sign of communication. So as you can see, there are many, many, many reasons why communicating is something that I'm very strong at doing. But with that being said, I believe that every single person has access to becoming a great communicator. Just because this isn't something that you studied in school or growing up does not mean that you can't learn these skills. And that's what I'm here to help you with today. So first, before we get into this, I would like you to write out, like, what's your intention for today? Why are you here, and like, what are you hoping to learn? And if you feel comfortable, please drop it in the chat box, and or hop off. You can turn on your audio and just shout it out if you'd like. I want to make sure this is engaging for everyone.